FOMO.
My name is Patrick J. McGinnis, and I'm a FOMO Sapiens. And since you're here, I'm going to bet that you are too. And when you're like us and Monday comes around, you don't dread the new week. No, you wake up every Monday morning knowing that this week might just be the best one yet. This is FOMOnday, the snackable show that starts your week right with hot takes, life hacks, listener mail, and even some FOMO therapy. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of FOMOnday, the companion show to FOMO Sapiens, which of course we'll be back with on Thursday, but today is Monday. Happy FOMOnday, my favorite day of the week. I'm your host, Patrick J. McGinnis, venture capitalist by day, author and podcaster by night, and FOMO Sapiens 24/7. And today is a historic episode of FOMOnday because we're going to do something new here that I've been really looking forward to doing. I got an Instagram DM from listener Frankie Thorogood, who's based in London. And he said, listen, I've been listening to the show and I have like massive FOMO. And I said, come on and talk about it with me. And he gamely said yes. And so today we're going to get into solving Frankie's FOMO and what I call FOMO therapy. I mean, FOMO therapy. Let's call it FOMO therapy. All right, Frankie, welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you very much, Patrick. I'm excited. Thanks for having me.
All right, Frankie. So first of all, you're an interesting guy. Okay. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, brief history of me is I'm a super competitive guy in all fields. I love my sport and I love business. And when I left university in 2010, it took me a couple of years to get going. But I managed to eventually find my calling, which was to start a sportswear brand in 2012. And I grew that business for 9 years. And that was my entire life pretty much for 9 years. And eventually had a successful exit of that company last summer, which was a great way to end that kind of journey in my life. So that's what I've been doing most of my adult life. And that's kind of what I love, business and sports and fitness and reading and writing. And one of the books I most recently read was your one, which I love. So thank you for that.
No, it's my pleasure. And everybody go Google Frankie and TCA, which is a company he founded. And I found out when I did that like Dua Lipa's trainer is wearing this stuff. A lot of people wearing this stuff. This company grew really incredibly well. And so Frankie, you're total FOMO Sapiens because you also, according to your LinkedIn, have another company called Kaizen. So you're running two businesses at once. I mean, you're doing it all. Let's get into what we're trying to deal with today. So what is the problem we are trying to solve?
So the big problem for me, which I wasn't able to put a name to for years until I come across your work, is the fear of a better option. And as soon as I kind of found out that was like a known, a known term and a known thing that other people also experienced, I was just going through life suffering from it. And when I found out, it was like, wow, this is something that I really have quite bad, and it's holding me back. And it was kind of showing up in all of my life, from extremely small situations to extremely large and important situations and decisions. So the example that really springs to my mind whenever I think about my FOMO is sitting in a restaurant with my friends and not being able to decide what to order. And it got so bad that the waiter would ask me what I wanted, and I would say, you know what, just come back to me at the end, because I'm not ready and I want to go last. And I would wait to hear what everyone else did to give myself more thinking time, and also to kind of compare what I thought I was going to order versus what they ordered. And that's literally what I would suffer at meals, choosing what to order. And it's a classic case of a fear of a better option, and like such a pathetic small thing to worry about. But looking back, that's exactly what was happening to me. I actually started to annoy my friends with it. So that's on a very small case. And then on a more bigger decision, in business, we'll be deciding which supplier to use, or I'll be deciding which candidate to hire, and it will be the same principles at play, not being able to commit to a decision because I was worried that I'd be missing out on something better. And you start to get that paralysis from analysis and end up making no decision, which had taken me many years to realize that sometimes the wrong decision or any decision is better than none. So that's my kind of like experience of FOMO and the kind of way it rears its head, I guess, in my life.
Yeah. First of all, thank you for sharing that, because it's like not easy to tell people. I mean, these are very relatable things. I think a lot of us feel these, but like getting on a podcast and talking about them isn't like, it's not something that everybody does. So thank you for your sort of honesty. I just want to have a couple questions for you. Number one is, let's take that first example, because it is like, I get your point. It's like such a dumb thing, and so it's just annoying that you would feel that way. Let's get, first of all, it's funny. Do you have trouble like picking which table to sit at? Do you constantly try to move tables before, or is that not a problem?
Are you? I mean, have you been watching me secretly? Because that's exactly what I'm like.
No, I know. No, I know that. I know the type. I seen it. Go to the restaurant, sit at the table, then you want to go to another one, and then so like it's not just, what's interesting about what that says is it's not just about the food, it's about all the things. So when you are sitting down at the table, like, what is the feeling that you're having? Like, I guess, where do you think it's coming from?
I think this FOMO is closely related to like a maximizing. It's the word maximizing, right? So I'm like, I want this experience to be as good as it can be. This dinner that I'm having, and I can see, or I can imagine that I'd have a more enjoyable time at another table because the view's better, or the seat's more comfortable, or something like that. So I can't help but just scan every situation and work out what I'm missing out on and what could be better about it. So I do exactly that in restaurants. I to this day, every time I sit down, I'm doing exactly that.
Yeah. I used to be that guy, so I get you. And do you ever, like, I'm curious, have you tried, for example, one of the things that I've tried with the restaurant situation in particular is I will share multiple items, and I will let the other people pick. So I've just completely outsourced my decision making in those situations. And you don't have to do it forever, because sometimes you have to eat alone. But one of the things that I have tried is literally saying, like, you know what, as long as, it's not super unhealthy, just order a bunch of stuff and we'll share it. Have you ever tried that?
Yes, well, it has come up, Patrick, but the problem is I'm also extremely greedy. So so I hate sharing food. Maybe that's a symptom of growing up with 5 siblings. I don't know. Or maybe that's just my excuse for being greedy. So you know what? If I'm one-on-one with my girlfriend, for example, I'm happy for her to. We'll share food because she's not gonna like take it all away from me. But if it's with friends, oh my god, like gives me anxiety sharing it.
Wow.
But I would say that in other contexts, I am very happy to have decisions outsourced, and the less I know about it, the better. So for example, holidays, with holidays, I just fell into this because I think I was so busy with the business. If my friends wanted to go on a holiday, they'd be discussing where to go and when and what to do. And I would just withdraw completely from that and just say, you know what, when you've decided, book my ticket and send me your bank details. And it made holidays so enjoyable because I didn't have to do any of the thinking or leading on it or decision making. So, I tried to draw inspiration from that, which just fell into place by luck more than anything. And I would try to apply that in a restaurant situation as well. But I think it's interesting. Like sometimes the FOMO comes up in different contexts and kind of in different ways. So I think I would like to be doing that in an eating in a restaurant situation more than I am. But you have to. I guess your first step is to be aware of it, isn't it? And then start to be consciously applying these things at the time, I suppose.
FOMO. I have an idea. I want you to try this, and you're going to come back and tell me how it works. Okay. One thing I've noticed. So you're clearly capable of outsourcing, which is awesome. So like you are like a not like a lost cause, as it were. It's like totally not. Obviously, you were able to build a business, but you have this weird like tick or like this weird neurotic thing around certain things. And so what I have noticed for myself, by the way, because believe me, I always call myself the wounded healer because I know exactly what it's like to feel this way, is I want you to try an experiment. Next time you go to a restaurant with your friends or your girlfriend or whomever, you're going to say to them, okay, we're going to go into this place. You're going to pick the table. You're going to decide what I'm eating. I'm not even going to say. You're going to take the menu and you're going to decide what I'm eating.
Oh my God.
And what's going to happen? This is my thesis. Okay. You're going to look at the menu. They're going to decide. And then you will have one chance to choose something different. Because what happens in this situation is all of a sudden you are forced to actually go with what you want. So I'd be like, Frankie, you know what I'm getting you? I'm getting you a carvery board. That's an English food thing that I think is hilarious. And then you're going to be like, no, I want a salad. Done. Your decision is made. So I'm really forcing you. Try that out. Because I think the problem that we have with FOMO, and you know, you've read the book, so you know, is that we have all these great options in front of us and we keep going back and back and back and back and forth. Right. And we can't break out of that pattern of a decision. But when you're forced, it's like, it's when somebody puts a limit on you, and I talk about this in one of the chapters of the book, how it's like with Hotel Tonight, they basically give you one option a day and then it disappears. If somebody really puts an ultimatum on you, you are forced to decide. So I want you to try that, because I think it's going to work for you. Now I want to go to the bigger thing about like picking a supplier. So obviously similar stuff, but like, you know, you said you're comfortable outsourcing, and in this situation, like I'm sure you know a lot about suppliers, but you also, you know, there's lots of people can advise you. Why do you think it is that with a supplier thing, you're not comfortable getting the advice that you need to drive to a decision?
I think it's, you know, I think we can apply the same principle to that situation to some extent, where I should reach out to like trusted advisors, I think you refer to them as, and ask for their opinion on the supplier in this case. But the ultimate, you know, decision is going to be left to me. And I think it becomes more difficult when it's the decision's going to have an impact for a much longer time, and it's less easy to reverse out of it. So you're going to sign a contract, for example, with a supplier. Yeah. So I guess that's the reasons why it's slightly different.
But when you make that decision, both of them could be perfectly acceptable, right? So you're at the point, like either one is fine. You've gotten to the point, you've looked at the terms, you negotiated, and you're sort of like, well, either is good. And so you're literally stuck because you can't decide between two things that you in your mind are perceiving as equal. Is that not correct?
Yes. Yeah. And yeah, exactly.
Okay. So what I'm going to ask you to do here, I'm going to ask you to go to your number two or one of your strongest advisors. I'm going to ask you to present the two options. I'm going to ask you to advocate for them. And then I'm going to have you outsource the choice to them. And you will have one chance to change it. Same thing. Because again, your problem isn't that you don't do the work, that you're not smart. Like you have all the stuff you need to make the decision. You're stuck at the final stage where you've done all the work, you're at the finish line, and you're just simply afraid of regret and afraid of not hitting the maximum. And so you have to force the decision, and then your gut will tell you if you want to take it back. So you're going to force that on yourself, okay? And if your company goes bankrupt, I will be there to support you, but it won't.
Yeah, you'll change your number.
Exactly. No. I want free merch. So that's what you're going to do, all right? So, okay. So these are... I've learned something in this. Like this, I've never done this before, but I guess what I'm getting at, and you hear me loud and clear. I guess actually, you know what? I'm going to put you on the spot. Tell me what you think I'm saying to you, so that I make sure that you got it.
Yes, good idea. I think what you're saying is, assuming I've done my data collection and I've done my research and my work, I can then narrow it down to a number of options. In this case, take them to a trusted advisor or number two and ask them to make the decision for me. And at that point, I then get one chance to change and pick something else.
That's right.
And I think I do think that will work, because I do agree that often when you're put on the spot, when you overanalyze things, you lose the gut instinct, I think. And if you're put on the spot, or you're forced for some reason to make a decision, your gut jumps back into play. And like when we've been talking, what's really reminded me of is something that used to happen with one of my little brothers or sisters when they were a much younger child, and they couldn't decide what toy or what sweet they wanted or something. And so I used to put them behind my back, one in each hand, and say, fine, like pick a hand. And they would pick a hand, and as soon as they saw what one they'd picked, which toy they'd picked, they would either grab it and run and play, or they would be like, oh my God, no, give me the other toy. So it's the exact same thing, I think. They just kind of were forced to realize what they really wanted. And that's kind of what I'm imagining I'm going to be, kind of bringing back into play now.
I love it. That's actually, by the way, an amazing analogy. All right, everybody. FOMO therapy. I think we did it. Frankie Thorogood, where can people find you if they want to follow your journey?
Well, guys, you can follow me on Instagram if you like. It's the Urban Artist, the Urban Artist. So I would love to just make friends on there. It's nothing too serious, but a bit of fun, and just love to chat to other people. And if people have got the stories to share or advice and tips, then I would love to hear it. So definitely reach out on Instagram. And I also started writing a lot more on my blog, which I'll share on the Instagram page anyway. So I'd just love to get people's feedback on my writing as well.
All right, everybody. I got to tell you, this is a great story because Frankie wrote me on Instagram. I wrote him back because I do that, by the way. If you write me, I write you back, I promise. And here he is. We come on the show, and I think we had a really awesome conversation. And now I have a new friend. So everybody, go follow Frankie and write me if you need some FOMO therapy. All right, everybody. Until Thursday, this has been FOMOndays. Take care of yourselves. FOMO. If you like today's show, please be sure to rate it and recommend it to your friends. And as always, you can find me on Instagram at Patrick J. McGinnis, on Twitter at PJ McGinnis, and on the web at FOMOsapiens.com or PatrickMcGinnis.com, where you can get all kinds of free resources to live a more decisive and entrepreneurial life. FOMO. Want more FOMO Sapiens and FOMOnday? Head over to FOMOsapiens.com, where you can listen to past episodes, learn more about the show, and find out how to advertise. You can also connect with me on Instagram at Patrick J. McGinnis and on Twitter at PJ McGinnis.